Welcome to another presentation in the Quantum Human Summit series, Expanding Multidimensional Awareness. I am so pleased to be here with Jules Arnes, a beautiful soul who is on the cutting edge of human evolution. Her work is truly remarkable and life-changing for all of us. We're going to talk about epigenetics and so much more as we are becoming the next level of humanity. This is the Evolution Gene Code. Turn on the code of eternal life. Hi, Jules. Welcome.
I got chills. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and just share with everyone what's been coming through and invite you into a journey of cell ascension.
Yes, we are excited for this because it is all about how we are becoming multidimensional. We're expanding our multidimensional awareness, and you're actually making this part of our humanness. You are expanding, pushing the envelope, let's say, on our understanding of scalar energy, of our understanding of how we really are in the driver's seat here with everything that we want to do. And so this is where we are quantum. We
Mm.
truly are quantum humans. Tell us about your latest work.
Oh, I love that you said that. So for me, I've been really focusing on what is actually happening in the body when we choose to go quantum, right? When we choose beyond, you could say, the human experience and explore what's next. And that it's funny because we'll go into the presentation here, but that's actually my first question. And I think that it's the question is, am I here to have a human experience, or am I here to evolve the human experience? And that for me is definitely, it's the red pill or the blue pill, right? And all day long it's going to be the red pill, and it's a choice that we make over and over and over again, because we're always going to hit a frequency consciously. And once that happens, we have to keep going. But what's actually happening is that our body is showing us the way. It's transcribed to activate the quantum experience through the body. And so that has been, it's always been my passion. I started doing light body activations when I was like 16 or 17 years old. And I always knew that we're so much more than what we can see. And it's time to get out of the box, right? It's time to start to put our consciousness in that unknown space and get comfortable there, because that's the only way that we're actually going to experience what's beyond what we're experiencing.
Beautiful. And as you were sharing that, we are here to evolve the human experience.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And we're here to evolve it in love. And I've heard the phrase, we are evolving love.
Oh, for sure.
Are evolving love. What does that mean? That really means that everything, all belief systems that we've come in as we incarnate on this planet, those programs and belief systems, the matrix is part of our reality. And so we are evolving out of that, but we're doing it through love. And so it's really fascinating. And so the work that you're doing then, turning on the code of eternal life, this seems fascinating. And I know you've done a lot of work with DMT and all of it, but this is more about our DNA and consciously activating our DNA.
Mhm.
What does that mean to you to activate our DNA? How do we know if it's activating?
Mm. Well, we ask first, right? Because there has to be we have to start in co-creation with our body. And because the truth is, the frequencies are already there and they're already activated. But when we're asking them to activate, it's giving us something consciously to focus on. And once we start to do that, it starts to show us what we are beyond what we could see before, because most of us are only experiencing 10% of our body, which is the programmed or the body of the matrix. but we have 90% that's already activated. We're already quantum. We're already in the field of 963, but we're not holding consciousness there. And so it is truly that consciousness follows the intelligence that our body already is. And we have to be willing to break out of what we can see, what we can hear, what we can taste, what we can feel, right? All of the things that we focus on to create a reality is just recreating another level of the matrix because it's already been created. When we start to hold consciousness in what can't be seen, is when we start to realize that there's a whole nother reality, and not just reality through consciousness, but reality of what our body truly is. And when we can let the body on that quantum level lead the way, what we're finding is that that junk DNA is bioquantum. It is already in a quantum space. But what I'd like to share today is that if there's actually another DNA, if you will, that is actually in every single one of our cells that is holding the ability to break out of the matrix on a level that I'm just starting to tap into, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. But what we see when we study the body is not what we are. It's what we can see. It's that we are literally studying the matrix. What we see through the quantum experience, meaning we are tuning consciousness to the intelligence that's stored or transcribed in our DNA, we open up to a completely different, and I don't even want to call it a reality because it's not a reality, it's a frequency. And that frequency has an intelligence, and we're going to have our experience of that consciously, depending on where we can hold consciousness in that intelligence. And that's why it becomes a journey, because once we hit part of that consciously, we know that that's still not it. There's always going to be more until we actually become the intelligence itself. But it is a journey of ascension, and it is happening on a cellular level.
Wow, exciting. We are really looking forward to learning more about this. You mentioned 963, the frequency of 963. We've talked about this before on programs with you, but for those who are new, what is going on here? Is it the frequency we know of, like beyond love and pleasure and joy? What is going on? What is 963?
So 963 is measured at source frequency, but it's also measured at DMT, which we talk a little bit about. And that is a chemical that's released on a physical body, but it's also a frequency. So depending on if we're experiencing the program body, we'll experience DMT as a chemical. If we're experiencing the quantum body, we'll experience DMT as a frequency. But they're both there so that our body is holding the frequency of source. It's a delivery system, and it's transcribing the DNA so that it's holding everything that you need to consciously evolve into the intelligence of source. And so 963 can be measured in a Hertz wave. And a Hertz wave is the way we are experiencing our body now, just like you were talking about the experience of love. Well, 528 hertz is the frequency of love. But the thing with a hertz wave is it diminishes over time and space. Just like a guitar, when you strum the guitar, you might feel it, you're going to hear it, you're going to sense it, but then it disappears. Well, the same thing happens when you have the chemical of love. Oxytocin is released and you have that falling in love feeling, and we try to recreate it. So then all of a sudden we're, oh, well, if I do this, I'll feel that feeling. Or, okay, I had this relationship with this person and now all the programming is, and we're starting to loop. So I'm going to break up and I'm going to go have this feeling again. And we go searching, trying to release a chemical that we identify as love. But then the frequency that is in a scalar wave doesn't diminish over time and space. That's what it is to be in a quantum body, is that everything becomes scalar because it's an intelligence and a frequency that we can turn on, and then we can attune to it consciously and have that experience. But it's not something that we're going searching for and we're trying to release that programmed body in order to have an experience. That's what we're shifting to. We're shifting to this other space where love is just a frequency. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no conditions, there's no loops. It's just pure. And love is love. It's going to be the same with your daughter, with your husband, with your best friend, with your coworker. It's just a frequency.
Okay, beautiful. I know you've got some beautiful slides to share with us to help explain more of this research and work that you're bringing forward.
All right, so I will go ahead and share the first question. I have to say this is probably my favorite slide out of everything I'm going to share. Because when it all comes down to it, this is the first question we should all be asking ourselves is, am I here to have a human experience, or am I here to evolve what it is to be human? And that question changes everything. It changes our approach. And for me, awareness and choice truly is evolving the human experience. So with that, I invite you to choose. And the thing is that one of them isn't better than the other. It's just being aware of what you want to experience so that you know when you're making choices from that step forward, what experience you're choosing. So the average human body is measured, and this is your physical form, is measured right around 7.5 hertz. So your physical form that you're experiencing consciously is measured at 7.5 hertz. And for some of us, it's going to be a little higher, but the actual density of your body is measured 7.5. The frequency of DMT, or 963, that is stored in your DNA is what the experience of the advanced human or your quantum experience of your body has the ability to hold consciousness in. So just thinking about, we're talking your physical form going from 7.5 to 963. That is a huge difference. 7.5 is the 10% of our body's potential that we are looping in. It's the matrix, it's the programmed body. And then we can activate those DMT codes to experience what's beyond that. So what is creating the programmed experience of our body, and why do we keep looping in it? Most of us have the experience of consciousness in the mind, and some of us are definitely bringing it into the heart space, but we're being taught to project consciousness in order to create a different reality. Or we're being, oh, feel this emotion and then project it, and you're going to have this experience. But all we're doing is we're projecting more of our programming, our emotions, our thoughts, projecting consciousness. Oh, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to project this emotion and these thoughts out into the universe, and it's going to come back to me. Are all based in primal programming. Like, if we really go to the inception point of, why do I want $1 million? So I can feel safe. So I don't have to deal with people I don't want to deal with. So I don't have to go to my job. It's like, if you really think about it, it's all coming from a level of primal programming. I want to fall in love, releasing a chemical that has those have sex, have more children. It's all about the evolution of the human through a programmed experience of the body. there's something more. So you're just like, well, how do I get out of that loop, right? How do I get out of the loop? First thing I want to do is show you the loop. So this is when we really start to look at what we've agreed to, the life and death cycle. And the flower of life, the way we're experiencing it right now, is inverted. I'm going to go a little bit into my story with my friend Vale that passed away, because this is actually the way he showed me cell ascension. Is that the first image that he showed was almost like I was looking at the earth from outer space. He showed it to me from the furthest perception that I could finally go. And then he started making it go really small. And the next thing I hit was the flower of life. And I was like, oh yeah, it's the flower of life. And he's like, no, but really look at it. And if you look, loop, 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 it's in a loop. So what he was showing is, okay, so we think we're breaking out of a program from that programmed mind, the programmed experience of the matrix. And then we may move into another experience, but we're just looping in another level of the programmed experience. And then we do it again and we do it again. And then we sit there and wonder, well, I'm supposed to heal instantly. Why am I not having that experience? I know innately we're not supposed to die. Why am I having that experience? I know I should be able to manifest instantly. Why am I not having that experience? Because we're trying to project programming into a matrix. We're trying to break the matrix with another matrix. And it just creates another matrix that we think that we're in another state of reality, but really it's just another level of the matrix. So with that, he started to show me the ascension of the cell. So the cell is our operating system. It is what's operating our reality. And right now, the way our cell is functioning is that it is searching our environment. It's registering through that primal response of the body. It's reading our thoughts, what we eat, how much we exercise, the environment we live in, what our belief systems are, genetic coding. It's in the 10%. Our cell is hooking into our environment. So the DNA is reading the environment. How do I thrive? How do I thrive? How do I survive this environment? And that is how our cells are dividing. So when they find, oh, well, there's toxins here, it'll start to create an environment to keep the body alive, to not be toxic. So it's always reading the environment and trying to survive. And that's great. We want our bodies to do that. But that's not the way our body's actually supposed to be functioning. That's the inversion of the flower of life. So how do we get out of it? We shift the way our cells are reading the environment. So when we start to activate those dormant DNA codes by asking and just remembering that on some level, they're already activated. We're just not having that experience because we're agreeing consciously to a lower frequency of that experience. Only 10% of our experience we're agreeing to consciously. But when we start to invite in that other 90% of our experience, those frequencies start to activate in our body so that we can start to experiencing them consciously. And the DNA starts to identify in the frequency that is activating. So organically, the cell stops looking at the environment of the body because it recognizes that when these frequencies are released through the DNA, that that's the innate being. Oh, this is what I'm supposed to be paying attention to, not all of like, am I going to survive? This is my survival. So it moves from observing the matrix to actually identifying as source frequency. And when that happens, the cell moves into that frequency of 963 and it starts to evolve. Well, what does this look like? The frequency of your physical body starts to raise. You start to move from 7.5 hertz to maybe 8.8 to 9.9. And the more that you explore this consciously, the more you start to experience the reality of your body at a higher frequency. Quantum physics has already proven that what we focus on becomes our reality. The reality is that your body is already 963. What we as conscious human beings get to do is choose to explore who we are beyond what we can hold consciously. And this is a pathway of doing that. So when the cell I call it turns inside out, when the DNA starts to identify in the frequency of source over the environment, we start to become bioquantum. The cell starts to operate in a different state or a different operating system. And what begins to happen is that we start to have thoughts like, oh, I'm having the experience of breathing, but am I really? I'm having the experience of eating, but am I really? And you start to hold consciousness in that quantum experience of what the body really is. We may eat because we enjoy it, but on an innate knowing, we know that there's a level where we don't have to eat. And we start to tap in more and more consciously the evolved human. Are we really separate from the earth? Are we separate from each other? And not only are we asking ourselves those questions, but our body is holding a field, that field of 963, where we truly get to experience what we are beyond that. And that experience is going to be different for us all, but it starts to light something up. You'll notice that there's a little light right here. This is the DNA that we are all studying. This is the DNA that we are all activating. This DNA is only part of it. There's another DNA in our system that is turning on as we all choose to start to experience what's beyond that 7.5 hertz of the body. And when we truly start to attune consciousness to the frequency of 963, we move into another operating system. So here you'll see the quantum body. We're activating the codes of our DNA, which is activating a new operating system that is in every single cell. We can physically see this operating system. We're just not seeing it on a quantum level, but it's there. It's turning on every time that we choose to have a quantum experience of the body, that we choose to move beyond what we say or what we experience as human. And as that is turning on, we begin to activate the DNA that is in the mitochondria. Mitochondria, on a physical level in science, has its own DNA. And that DNA is not in a strand, it's in a sphere. It's holding the body in no space, no time. It's the advanced operating system. And the fun thing is that there is more mitochondria, 43% more mitochondria in your heart than anywhere else. It is literally creating a portal of ascension, and it's already in your DNA right now. We're just not experiencing what it is as it begins to activate and turn on for us to consciously move into that. But it's happening, and we all get to have our experience of what that is. When we start to activate this DNA that is in our mitochondria. It's a completely new DNA, if you will, that we're not really paying attention to, though it's always been there. When we start to experience it on a quantum level, what we realize, or what my experience has been, is that it starts to hold consciousness within that operating system. So it's creating a portal in the heart space. So it's moving our experience of consciousness, our way of thinking, the way we're seeing, the way that we feel, all of the different things that are happening within the mind into the heart. But it's not what we think it is. So I just want to invite, because when we say that, we all go to, oh yeah, but it's not what we think it is. So I want you to imagine that when you're seeing this mitochondria DNA, is that all of these little lines here are literally operating systems. Well, what are they operating? They're operating our experience of the body, and they're bringing our experience of the body into the quantum field. If you can imagine what it would feel like to hold consciousness in a sphere, and that is all you had to do is shift, okay, I need to know this information, but it would be spherical. And then you go to here, and then you go to here and to here. So you know everything all at once, and but are able to receive information at one time at the same time. Your consciousness literally gets held in the sphere. And that is the last part of the ascension process within the cells. Because once you can hold your consciousness in the operating system itself, you break the matrix. You break the matrix of the programmed body, because you can't move outside of the sphere. It holds your consciousness in this space where it's super clear. You know exactly what's happening, but you're not identifying through the programmed reality. So the first level of the DNA is important because it allows us to master the matrix within the matrix. Once that happens, the ascended DNA within the mitochondria is activated, which is the DNA that is going to move us into the quantum body. So with that, I'm going to kind of pause. I have an activation that we'll go to next. But if you have any, do you want to jump in here?
This is very fascinating, and I love the images because they really help to explain what is going on, that this is a journey on a physical level of ascension through the cells, and how we can really be in the driver's seat by attuning to that frequency that we already are, that the body already is, of source consciousness, and that the limitations, it's just the primal programs that really, it is the matrix. I love how you explain that. And you know, as you were sharing about the hertz of the body, 7.5 hertz, I'm reminded of the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann resonance is 7.5 hertz, same as the body. And Gaia is 7.5 hertz. And what we're witnessing is that that is elevating. There's been spikes in the Schumann resonance. And then I've heard that there's other, I think there's 4 other Schumann resonances, other octaves of the resonance. And so when we see the spikes of the Schumann resonance, it's uplifting us whether we know it or not. So isn't that fascinating that sometimes the Schumann resonance is spiking up into the hundreds or even off the charts? So humanity as a collective, because of this Schumann resonance spiking, accelerating, uplifting as it is, it's assisting us to become quantum, whether we're aware of it or not. So what would you say about our consciousness playing in this? Definitely need to have the consciousness a part of it.
For sure. Well, and I love this. I love what you just said. And I've actually been sitting in this a lot. And what I'm being shown is that we're doing it.
Ah, we are doing it.
We're doing it.
Humans are causing the human resonance to up level. I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. And I'm getting truth bumps like with that too, in that reflection. And so the way I like to see it is that, the DNA is starting to activate in the body. Like it's just because people we just know, right? I mean, how long have been we've been doing? I mean, I started doing activations for the light body at 16 and I'm 50. So I'm guessing I'm not the only one in the world that's been doing that. And we're all starting to do it. And by doing that, we're activating those frequencies in our body, which are expressing into our environment, but we're also shifting where our consciousness is being held. And we're going to have our conscious journey of the frequency, but we're raising the frequency of our body, which is going to affect our environment. And so, just like when we go to a yoga retreat and we're put into an environment of a higher frequency, we start to think different, we eat different, we make different choices, all of those beautiful things. But what we don't realize is that we're activating our body is the retreat center. Our body is the yoga center. And once we realize that, we stop searching for things outside of ourselves to recreate that experience. And we just start to turn on that frequency in our body. And then we have to attune consciousness to it. And that's the biggest problem I think that we have is that we've been so trained to go out there or project this in order to create a reality when really we should be attuning. We attune to the frequency that's already in us, and then we're attuning to the purest form of frequency. We're attuning to that quantum experience of the body, the intelligence of source. And then there's no interruption, right? We're not trying to create an emotion. We're not trying to project our programming to create another loop, just like what those looping cycles that Vale was showing. It's inside of you. Just activate that frequency and then attune your consciousness to that frequency. And now with this beautiful cell ascension process, when we start to focus on the ascended cell or the ascended DNA that's in the mitochondria, we literally can shift. You almost see your consciousness being held in this operating system that's pure source intelligence. There's no observation. You literally become the intelligence. That's the operating system. We are the most advanced technology there is. And our experiences of that is consciousness, but consciousness will eventually leave and we're going to become intelligent, where there's no observation of, oh, I'm being told this, or oh, I feel this, or oh, I'm seeing this. We see before we see, we know before we know. We feel without feeling. We literally become a frequency. And that, if you think about what is the gap between seeing and receiving the information, that's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until we hit the intelligence and we don't need to see. There's no part of us that's saying, I see, we just see. And that's what we're becoming. That's what it is to become bioquantum. It is, I mean, for me, can you tell I'm excited? It really is an experience and it is an activation in the body and you can feel it because you feel your body raising in frequency.
Wow. All right. So our mission is to attune to the frequency. And I just want to say, after, we've had you on other shows, Quantum Conversations and all of it, and I'm reminded every day, and we're all going to be reflecting every day and purposely attuning to this frequency. It really is what is the word? Supportive. It really is comforting. It's us. And so we're no longer victims. When we can remember to attune to the frequency, it's so beautiful because it's just pure joy and happiness. Can you, I know you've got an activation that we're going to get into, but when you are in your day-to-day life and you are living this way, here you've improved, you've lengthened your telomeres from 37 years to 19 years in just 10 months. That in itself is fascinating. But when you are in that space, like a day-to-day situation, what are you doing? How are you attuning? Are there triggers of thoughts that come up to remind you, well, wait. And so what's that like for you as you attune and hold the consciousness like this as we're talking?
So I love this question because it's a question I actually ask myself all the time because it is, where am I holding consciousness, right? And it does become almost hard to talk about because where you start to hold consciousness is kind of almost beyond the observation because you're holding consciousness in that no space, no time, and there's still an intelligence there. And even when I'm saying this, I can see it in your body activating because I'm reflecting it with you because you've had these experiences as well. And we all have probably had it and aren't aware of it. But it's kind of that space of just being super clear, but super aware. But then you get to play in that space. And that's what I love to do is, okay, so I'm here. Now what am I going to do with it? Because I want to master it, right? So I'll be, okay, can I, and one of the things that I get obsessed with is doing it while I'm working out because something happens with the body when we're working out where we convert from oxygen to hydrogen in order to receive energy. And a lot of us call it lactic acid or lactate starts to get released in the body. Well, DMT is measured at the same frequency as lactate. Your body is responding to it in a very similar way. And a lot of us convert it to, oh, well, it's endorphins or it's this or it's that. But it's actually created specifically for that reason because when we really work our body to a space of doing that, it's also boosting mitochondria health. So it's letting all of the cells die off in the body that aren't in optimum performance, and it's keeping all the cells that have the healthiest mitochondria, which in turn is raising the frequency of our body so that we can attune to the advanced DNA of our own body. So our body is literally set up to have this experience. And so when I'm working out, I'm tracing all of the frequencies. And then, okay, so now I got to this place of exhaustion and I'll step back, I'll put my consciousness inside that ring. I'll let my consciousness upload into the operating system and then I'll keep going. And there's this part of me that stepped outside of it going, oh my gosh, I'm going. And then I can't hold it there. So I'll like, it shifts me back in and I just keep going and I'll come back out and I just did 10 more. I just did 10 more reps than thought I could do, right? 10 is kind of a lot when you're at total exhaustion and doing 10 more, but but it's evidence. Okay, I'm actually doing this. And so that's where I love to play with it. It's not the only place I play with it. I play with it with my work as well as okay, I have a week's worth of work to do.
Mhm.
I'm going to do it in a day and I'll enter that operating system and let it do all of the work. And when I come out, I mean, sometimes it's hours and I
Yeah,
get it.
that is fascinating. Really, really, so beautiful. And I'm reflecting even in my own life at how I've done that. And yeah, it's okay. It's just exciting. It
It's so
really, and so attuning, and again, there's no victim. It's totally us that are creating this, and we are raising our vibration. This is what it means, raising our vibration by
fun.
holding our consciousness outside of the programs. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I would say just to kind of reflect on some of the other experiences as he very fast healing. Uh, and some of the other things it was showing me is the way the body is operating, even with cancer, like how there's actually an advanced system behind that experience. And so it literally starts to show you what's beyond what we've been studying through our programming. And, you know, if just think how much more fun life is when you're exploring what's possible and letting the intelligence show you what things really are, than wasting all our time with going through all our programming and having to analyze it all. And, and I get it. There's going to be people that that's the experience they want to have, but there is another experience of ascension now. And, you could say, well, isn't it spiritual bypassing? And I'm going to say, if you know what level of consciousness you're in, meaning if you are not in the programmed body and you learn to attune consciousness to the intelligence of source, there is no spiritual bypassing because this other reality doesn't even exist. And it does take a level of training and mastery to be able to do that. But that's what we should be focusing on.
Hallelujah. Absolutely. In every moment. In every moment. There's solution energy. There's, oh my gosh, the world will totally change. The world will be new earth. New earth is a frequency, and this is new earth. It's already here as we attune to that frequency of source. Okay, really cool. Jules, amazing. So can you lead us on an activation so we can
Yeah.
explore a
So
little
let
bit?
me bring that back up. Okay, so this is the activation of that ascended DNA. So we're really going to focus on ascending that DNA, just activating it in you so that you can have the experience of holding consciousness uh, in the advanced operating system of your body. So if you'd like to, let's just all shut our eyes for just one moment and place your hands on your heart space, that quantum portal, knowing that all of the cells, your physical cells, are already set up to open this space for you to hold consciousness. And then just, if you want to, just seeing a white blue light enter through your nose and allowing it to trace along your brain, moving down through your spine and out through the mouth, just attuning your spinal fluid to that frequency of source 963. And seeing that light in your next breath entering your heart space, entering your bloodstream as it raises the frequency of your blood. Feeling this light as it enters every cell of your body, attuning your body to the frequency of 963, source intelligence. Just notice by just inviting in this frequency that you feel a little different. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes, and we're activating through the ascended DNA this first code. And this code is the ability to hold consciousness in the frequency of 963. And just allowing yourself to be attuned through the image, feeling it activate in every cell of your body. You can even have the sensation of this in your heart space, because even though you're observing it, it's happening within you. I even invite you to now shut your eyes and just feel the activation in that quantum portal of your heart. And allowing yourself to have the experience. You're not in observation, you're in the experience. You're not trying to make it happen, you're allowing it to happen. Just allowing yourself to consciously attune to this frequency, surrendering your thoughts, and allowing them to enter the frequency of source. And I'll have you open your eyes for the second code, which allows you to be in mastery of creation, to be the creator and the creation at the same time. So just looking at the code, activating that ascended DNA, just noticing how your body is feeling just a little bit different with this code. So it upgrades your operating system to hold your consciousness and what it feels like and what the experience is to be in creation through the frequency of source. And then just shutting your eyes for just a moment, allowing your consciousness to attune. Just feeling your consciousness as it enters that ring, that operating system. Knowing that it can be held here. This is your purest state of being. It's literally stored inside of you. And then we'll go to the last code of mastery, the ability to become on a physical level, allowing consciousness to merge with the intelligence, where you shift from the operating system of our DNA that we experience on a daily basis into the ascended DNA. Just inviting that experience in. And then shutting your eyes and allowing yourself to attune, knowing that this frequency is activated and now you get to explore the possibilities through your consciousness, knowing that your consciousness has the ability to be held in this operating system, the operating system of source intelligence. Just inviting in that experience and then consciously attuning to it. And then taking a moment to just notice what it feels like. If your body's feeling different. And then in this moment, if there's an intention that you would like to shift within your life, place it in the center of this operating system. Feeling it attune into the frequency of source. And then just knowing that the intention is now just a focal point of exploring what it feels like to live in the operating system of source, exploring what information comes through the intelligence, through your intention. It's just a practice. And once you feel like your intention has been attuned to the frequency of 963, just taking in a deep breath, knowing that on some level you're not even breathing. And then you can open your eyes when you're ready. All right, thank you.
Wow. So beautiful. There's no thoughts there. There is a place of, there's a realm of peace and just pure love. Thank you. I want to say that my body they felt different with each of those codes. And I felt like I was literally floating at one point. And again, I know why you say it was hard to talk about, because there's nothing to talk about. I see a world where everyone's attuned this way, and it makes me realize there's been people on our planet that hold this consciousness, the great sages that hold this consciousness, and we are, I don't want to say catching up to them, but we are. We are, wow, miraculous work that you're doing, Jules. Thank you to Vale for sharing this with you from the other realms. Wow. Okay. I would hope that our audience who's watching and listening, share in the comments what you are experiencing. Wherever you're watching this, send us an email, let us know, because wow, we are elevated. What we can do with this frequency of source, which we all are, simply an activation. And it really makes me realize that the old world is just a program. There are no rules. The rules, the frequency is the frequency of source. There's no rules there. So I love it. Okay. Wow. So we have, this is incredible work, and you are an incredible teacher of it, showing people how to do this. Those codes that you showed, those are just a few of the codes that came through, and you've got ways that people can work with this.
Yeah.
I know people are going to be really eager for this, like, give me more, give me more. How do I do it? What do I do? And so you've got a beautiful course where you're going to be teaching people this. It's becoming bioquantum, and it's coming up. And tell us more about this.
Yes, so there's two things. So on March 10th, I believe, is going to be I'm calling it a mini retreat, but basically we're going to go through cell ascension, activating all 12 codes, one through the DNA that we're experiencing now, and then shifting into the advanced DNA or the ascended DNA through an intention. So over that, I think it's like a 2 hour period of time. I can't remember exactly. I'll be bringing you through that process, and you'll be learning a little bit about it, but more importantly, you'll be attuning your consciousness to elevating into this frequency. And then I have another offering there as well, which is the Becoming Bioquantum Foundations. And that is a basic foundation course that is high level, but it's teaching how to hold consciousness in the frequency of 963 so that we can identify and stop looping in our programmed mind. And we learn to not project consciousness, but attune consciousness. And, ironically, there's not a lot of teachings out there that teach us how to do that. And so I just felt it's time. We need to just write it all down and give the people the tools. And it really is a beautiful process to go through. And so I put that as well, because I do feel if you're doing all this work and you're not sure how to do that, I recommend learning because tools are everything.
Wow, really beautiful. Again, I thank you for that. So just to be clear, so people can purchase option one, which is the bioquantum live course that you'll be offering. But then the foundations, is that also including option one, or is it two
Yes.
separate? Oh, it
So
is,
it would, yes,
right?
so it's including both. And that one is just an evergreen course that you go through in your own timing. It's an 8 module course. It's very, very rich in material. So I mean, it's going to take you 2 to 3 months to go through it if you're doing it right, because we don't want to just consume, right? We want to consume, and then we want to process, we want to tune, we want to master, and then we move on to step two, right? And so however long that takes. But what I love about especially that course, well, all my courses are this way, is that I code them to hit you where you are consciously And so, and then actually elevate you past that so that you're in the experience of ascension as you're going through the course. But then when you come back and you do it again, it's going to code you in a higher frequency. So it's almost as if you're taking a completely different course because you're approaching it from a higher state of consciousness. So you can go through the same course 10 times and it's going to be a different course.
Uh-huh. Yes, because it's a spiral. And as we move through one layer, then that next layer comes in and we get more information or we understand it from another level. That's really beautiful. I think everyone should go for option two to get both of those things. Really, really remarkable. Or simply just join in on the first course, 2 hours. But I think the full package is like, and it's very affordable as well. I mean, it's like, mm, it's something we can work on in our own life, but this actually changes the world around us. It changes our relationships, right? It changes our world. It anchors in new earth when we really fully understand the frequency behind everything. Sure, we've heard everything is energy, everything is vibration, but now we're truly living it. And we are releasing ourselves from the matrix. Yes.
Chills.
So is it the blue pill that I would take? I
It's the red pill. It's the red pill.
the blue pill, not the blue pill. Okay.
I know, I feel like it should be the blue pill too, but it's actually the red pill.
Red pill. Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much for this. This is just incredible work that you're doing. And again, you've always been tuned in. All your work has been guided by the illumined realms. And you are activating your own frequency, activating your own DNA, and showing all of us how you're doing it so that we can do it too. So we really look forward to everyone joining this course. Check it out wherever you're watching or listening to this program. You'll see it in the description box. And of course, on this webpage, just scroll down and you'll see those offers available for you. If you need help joining in this program, we have a two-payment plan because we really want to make it easy for you to take part. And it's all an immediate download. If you get the foundations course and option two, you'll get that right away. So you can start right away. And the event is recorded as well. The live webinar is recorded. So that as well is coded so that people can come and listen to that one again and also up level the next time they listen to it. Incredible work. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Lauren. This has been amazing.
As we say goodbye, your final thoughts on where we're headed as humanity.
Why? I don't even want to limit that. I just feel like we really are on the edge of the shift, right? And for me, one of those biggest shifts is going back to that question and really being honest, right? Because the answer is probably going to change at some point. If it's, whatever it is, it's always going to be advancing. And what do I want to say? I just feel like there's something that's wanting to come through. What our experience of as humans is not what we're here to experience. And when we open up to the possibilities and we let go of having to understand the programmed reality and we start opening consciousness up to what's beyond that, everything does change. And I think it's like we're so programmed to think that we have to understand something or know why before we can move past it. And the opposite is actually true, right? It's like we can attune and we can bring our consciousness into a frequency. But as soon as we wrap it up in a little box and we say, oh, this is what it is, we just limited ourselves, right? But we're programmed to say, well, you have to have proof, you have to have evidence, you have to have this. And it's like at some point, what we're going to realize is that's what's actually keeping us limited. And that's what I'm inviting you into, is just burst out of that and be curious and open and explore, because in that exploration we will be shown what's beyond it. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
So beautiful. And it really is let's call it a new science of what it means to move out of the head, out of the mind, and into the heart on a cellular level, the ascension of the cell and our attunement to this frequency that we already are. So beautiful. We are the quantum human. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jules Arnes. Your work is extraordinary, and I see it merging into the medical field someday, and it's just beautiful. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. You are quantum, and you're human, and we are evolving love. Thank you. Namaste. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.